The rise and fall of Ronaldinho. There was a time when football felt lighter. When defenders didn't just lose, they laughed. When stadiums didn't just cheer, they applauded genius, even if it destroyed their own team. A grin, a no-look pass, a flick that defied geometry, and the world stopped. He wasn't just winning games. He was bending reality. And then, almost as suddenly as he rose, the magic faded. How does a player go from ruling the planet to watching the spotlight drift away, all before turning 30? This is the story of Ronaldinho, the artist who reached football's summit faster than almost anyone, and descended just as quickly. Chapter 1. The boy who played with a smile. Long before Europe chanted his name, Ronaldinho was a skinny kid in Porto Alegre, Brazil, playing barefoot in the streets. Brazil doesn't just produce footballers. It produces improvisers, street dribblers, rhythm players, and Ronaldinho absorbed that culture fully. Born into a footballing family, he grew up around the game. His older brother was a professional player. His father worked at a football club. The sport wasn't a hobby, it was oxygen. Even as a child, he played with flair. Not for applause, not for cameras, just for joy. That joy would later become his global signature. Chapter 2. The first signs of magic. Ronaldinho's early professional breakthrough came at Grêmio. Even then, he wasn't just effective, he was unpredictable. Elasticos, stepovers, free kicks that bent like trick shots in video games. But Brazil was only the beginning. European scouts saw something different. Not just talent, but charisma. A player who could sell tickets and dismantle defenses in the same motion. In 2001, he moved to Paris Saint-Germain. Europe had been warned. Chapter 3. The Paris Spark. At PSG, Ronaldinho was raw brilliance. He didn't always follow tactical instructions. He didn't always defend. But when the ball touched his feet, time slowed. He dazzled League One. He embarrassed defenders. He showed glimpses of something extraordinary. Yet even here, signs appeared, flashes of inconsistency, friction with coaches, moments of unpredictability off the pitch. But the world wasn't concerned. Because when you watched him play, it felt worth it. Chapter 4. Barcelona's resurrection. In 2003, Ronaldinho joined FC Barcelona. At the time, Barcelona was not the dominant force we know today. The club needed revival, identity, joy. Ronaldinho delivered all three. He didn't just improve the team. He transformed its culture. Fans who had grown frustrated returned to stadiums. Children wore his jersey. Teammates believed again. Under his influence, Barcelona evolved from struggling giant to European powerhouse. Chapter 5. The Peak of Peaks 2004-2006. This was the era. The Ballon d'Or years. The Champions League triumph. The standing ovation at the Santiago Bernabéu after humiliating Real Madrid CF. Let that sink in. Rival fans stood to applaud him. That doesn't happen. Ronaldinho at his peak wasn't just productive, he was theatrical. Free kicks that seemed magnetized. Assists delivered without looking. Solo runs through entire defensive lines. Smiles that felt contagious. In 2006, Barcelona won the Champions League. Ronaldinho was at the heart of it. He had conquered Europe. And he was only 26. Chapter 6. When you reach the summit too early. Here's the paradox of greatness. Climbing motivates you. But what happens when you've already arrived? By 26, Ronaldinho had won the World Cup with Brazil, won La Liga, won the Champions League, won the Ballon d'Or, twice. For many players, that would represent a lifetime of work. For him, it was the beginning. But the hunger that drives ascent isn't always the same hunger that sustains dominance. Chapter 7. The Changing Game. Between 2006 and 2008, football began shifting dramatically. High pressing became more common. Defensive structures tightened. Fitness standards rose. Recovery science improved. Players were expected to run relentlessly, track back, press aggressively. Ronaldinho was an artist of space. Modern football was becoming mechanical. While players like Cristiano Ronaldo embraced intense physical transformation and tactical evolution, Ronaldinho remained stylistically consistent. Consistency in art is admirable. In elite sport, it can be dangerous. Chapter 8. The Emergence of a New Star. During Ronaldinho's final years at Barcelona, a quiet teenager began to rise. Lionel Messi. Initially mentored by Ronaldinho, Messi represented the future. Faster decision-making, relentless efficiency, obsessive discipline. As Barcelona rebuilt tactically, the spotlight gradually shifted. Ronaldinho wasn't pushed out aggressively. He was replaced organically, by evolution. Chapter 9. Lifestyle and Professionalism. It's impossible to discuss Ronaldinho's decline without addressing lifestyle. He loved life, music, friends, celebration. Those qualities made him beloved. But elite longevity demands sacrifice. Sleep cycles, nutrition control, recovery discipline, obsessive routine. Some players treat football as an art. Others treat it as a science. As the sport modernized, science began winning. Chapter 10. The Milan Years. In 2008, Ronaldinho joined AC Milan. There were flashes, moments that reminded the world of his magic. But flashes are not primes. He was no longer the gravitational center of European football. He became one star among many, not the defining force. Chapter 11. The Brazilian Return. Later stints in Brazil reignited glimpses of joy. But the global spotlight had moved on. Football had entered an era of relentless rivalry between Ronaldo and Messi. Statistics dominated debates. Longevity became king. Ronaldinho's short, explosive peak felt like a memory from a romantic past. Chapter 12. Was it really a fall? Fall suggests failure. But did Ronaldinho fail? He achieved more before 27 than most players do in a lifetime. The real shock wasn't failure. It was brevity. We expected a decade. We got 3 brilliant years. And brilliance spoils expectations. Chapter 13. The Psychology of Joy. There's something deeper here. Ronaldinho played for joy. That joy fueled his creativity. But it also meant he didn't operate from fear or obsession. Players who sustain dominance often have something darker driving them, proving doubters wrong, chasing legacy, building immortality. Ronaldinho seemed content with happiness. And happiness doesn't always demand relentless improvement. Chapter 14. The Legacy Debate. When fans debate the greatest players ever, Ronaldinho's name always surfaces, not because of longevity, but because of feeling. He made football beautiful. He inspired millions. He influenced an entire generation of creative players. You can't measure that in goals alone. Chapter 15. The Romance of a Short Prime. There's a strange power in a short peak. It makes memory sharper. We don't remember decline vividly. We remember the elastico, the grin, the ovation in Madrid. Sometimes, lasting impact isn't about how long you rule, but how deeply you move people while you do. Final reflection. Rise, fall, or transformation. Ronaldinho's story isn't simply about decline. It's about the fleeting nature of artistic genius in a sport that increasingly rewards mechanical perfection. He rose because he brought joy. He fell because the game demanded obsession. And yet, decades from now, children will still watch his highlights and smile. Not because he played the longest. Not because he scored the most. But because, for a brief, unforgettable window, he made football feel magical. And maybe that kind of rise, even with a short fall, is more powerful than a slow, calculated reign.